Hi, welcome to the Market Alert for Wednesday, the 19th of January 2022. So bonds, stocks and Bitcoin battered as rage hike fears grow. The average stock is now trading 38% off their 52-week highs, which is not too dissimilar to what happened in 2018 when they tried to taper before. News this morning, big one for the UK at 7 a.m, which obviously will be out before the Market Alert gets to you, but 7 a.m. CPI numbers an increase to 5.2%, so that will be dominating the news. And let's get started by having a look at the Dow, which should be this one. So yesterday we can see the market hammered to the downside, taking it out the lows to the left there, went straight through these and the 289% levels, tried to hold and was slammed furiously on the open of the cash session on the Dow, trading down to 78% overnight. We've got that 200 MA in the way there, and 89% also in that same area here as well. So watch out for this if the market continues to move lower. You can see the retracement in action there. In the 30-minute chart, you can see the slaughter. It was relentless. It tried to buy back at one point. And there was some demand coming into the market. 3 attempts there. The market failing to come back and then just trading to the downside once more before actually managing a bit of a bounce before the close, an hour and a half before. But as we got into the last half an hour, the market hammered back down again. Everything was fine until overnight, and then the market closed below the previous day's close, and the 5-bar moving average failed to close above the 20, and prices have moved lower with a bit of demand coming into the markets now, and certainly oversold and some divergence, and the stochastics have crossed over. So we could see a bit of a pump at the beginning. Certainly when you think it's going to sell off, when you look at the daily charts, where you got the market down here at the moment, you think it's just going to sell off from the start. There are mornings when you have this situation or the backdrop where they reverse the market and then just bring it back. We've seen this so many times because you now have the mindset and have been wrong-footed. So just be aware of that. And in the DAX, you can see this one didn't really sell off compared to the Dow. We did take out the low to the left and the 89% retracement that we saw from here back to here that was in there yesterday. We did take this out, like I say, and this low, but we stopped at 50%, and the overnight is not as bad as the Dow either. So it'll be interesting to see how this one plays once it starts to open. We haven't got to the futures yet. This is the 5 minutes, but again you can see the market coming off the previous day's low. And as I mentioned in yesterday's title in the Market Alert, will the lows hold? Well, they didn't hold from the offset of the market. As soon as it opened, it just fell out of bed as well. So we've got a bit of weakness around there at the moment, but it's important to note that the market is coming off that low that you can see for yesterday. Interesting, isn't it, how the market will come off these levels. And it actually went up... how many points did that go? It looks about 50 points. 57. 57 points off the low there. So interesting. And then traded up to obviously this resistance here before attempting to move back to the downside. If you trade in the 5 minute, the averages are currently more or less lined up. It just needs the 5-bar to close below the 20, but otherwise it's still showing short there. That said, I can say watch that low, because any sort of pullback into this area here again is going to be crucial. It's only 6:45, so we've got a bit of time yet before the market opens on the futures. So that's the 5 minute. Just have a look at the detail. 30 minute, you can see there was a sell-off from the open. Crossover, and then stochastics oversold as well. A lot of volume, and then the market making its way back. I didn't catch the short trade in the new strategy, but managed to pick up the other trades which I recorded and will be publishing shortly. And then the market traded sideways. It's interesting because even when the Dow came on stream, it didn't sell off. It was just bizarre. So this bar here is 2 o'clock. It moved down to this BRN and then came back. It did completely the opposite as well, which was fascinating to see. There you can see again in the bigger time frame we're coming off the low, and again you get this, even though it's a small cluster of volume, there's a lot more activity as prices get towards the low. They want to try and keep the previous day's low intact. And in the 2-minute chart you can see the sell-off from the open. The market just traded through the low, which I'd mentioned in yesterday morning's market alert. It was important that the market held, but it didn't. It came back in the futures and then just sold off from the open. So straight down like an elevator, and then continued to do so after it tried to rally back and then followed further to the downside before it then saw some support. Managed to come back during the mid-morning, and then in the afternoon we had the one signal there. You can see when the Dow opened and it dropped 300 points, the DAX didn't. It just stayed on this BRN. You had all of this volume here. Then the signal is sat on the 200 MA all the way through here, and this was also a 62% retracement as well, which I'll show you. From here up to here it sits on 62, what's known as the golden ratio, and then we've got the signal and then the market moving to the upside there. So prices moved up, and you can see they stayed above the 5-bar moving average until we got to here, where the market closes below for the first time. And that's producing a potential profit of, from the entry to there, you'll see there 37 points. The market moved slightly higher by another 20 points before selling came into the market, then did its retracement and then traded sideways thereafter. Quick look at the metals before we finish. Some very interesting pictures in this yesterday, and interesting what's going on. So let me just resize this. So silver was allowed to move up yesterday. Big move in silver. Surprise, surprise. And overnight at the moment, the market also looking like it's going to continue to move higher. Like I say, we needed to get through 23.50 is the area where it needs to hold above now. I'm going to be optimistic and say, well, watch these areas as we head back to the 25, and in particular the 200 MA, which ties in with that 78% retracement. What was really odd is that gold didn't move, just fine gold. It was actually sideways to lower, and the impact of the gold-silver ratio was quite something else. I'll just show you this. You can see in here, as I mentioned a few weeks ago in the market alert, when we get to the 80 level of silver gold ratio, it can be an issue. The market traded up to 78, and then look at yesterday, massive drop in the ratio yesterday as silver continued to move higher, and is so doing at the moment as well. We can see the ratio dropping there quite nicely. And what was also interesting is that the dollar actually went up with silver, which is unheard of. Now the dollar is starting to move back to the downside, and if we have a look at the 30 minutes of silver, it's continuing to make progress to the upside as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when we get the UK CPI numbers, which will be out in 10 minutes time. And finally, crude oil continuing to move higher. We're up to 7-year highs with this as well, which is also going to add to the inflation story, of course. Okay, that will do it for this one. If there is anything else to report, I'll let you know. But as ever, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.